What's up, Burger Broskies? Damocles here, and today I wanted to do a step-by-step guide on how a Pokemon Unite match is supposed to go for new and incoming mobile players. I know most people who watch my content have been playing Pokemon Unite regularly and already know, what you're supposed to do in a match, step by step in the stages of a match, but I think it would just be really helpful for the new influx of players to just get a quick guide on what they should generally be doing as the match progresses. So I'm going to try and do it step by step and keep it fairly general because we don't know what kind of balance changes are going to come in terms of individual characters, but I think that the overall flow of a match should stay relatively the same. So if you like this content, please consider subscribing and liking and commenting down below if you think I should expand upon anything or if this is helpful to you, or if you just have any beginner questions. So or hop into my Discord and ask away. There's a bunch of plenty helpful people there. And if you want any awesome Team Shiny merch line link in the description. But regardless, so the general game of Pokemon Unite is a 5-on-5 game, right? And there are multiple different roles. I'm not going to go super into that right now. But basically, before the game begins, when you're in the pregame lobby, you're going to be selecting a lane, or you should be calling a lane to go to. So top lane consists of 2 players. Middle lane or central lane consists of 1 player, and then bottom lane consists of another 2 players. So if you see someone call central lane already, don't call central lane and, put 2 people in central lane. Central lane has 1 person. And when I say central lane, I mean they are predominantly going to be farming the center of the map. They're going to be farming these jungle camps. And top lane's obviously going to be farming top camps, bottom lane's farming bottom camps. So make sure before the match starts, you call out a lane that you're going to be going to. Normally, right now, the case is that usually top lane consists of a defender and a special attacker, but it varies from game to game. Don't get too hung up on that. Central lane, on the other hand, usually like 99% of the time involves a character that deals like very high damage as a damage dealing character, so that they can clear these camps as fast as humanly possible. Normally it's an attacker like a Cinderace or a Greninja, or a speedster like a Zeraora or something like that. And then bottom lane consists of either a support and basically any other character you can think of. Some people put all-rounders, some people put other attackers. It's kind of up to you. But that's just like a general overview. Not really, nothing too hard and specific there. Things you should know before the match starts. I'm sorry for my garbage can going off there. Things you should know before the match starts is that you do not want to go and be taking camps, wild Pokemon camps from other lanes that you are not in, if you can help it, especially at the start of the game. Later on in the game, it's a free-for-all for the most part, but at the start of the game, I will just go down, I'll just do a breakdown of it right now. You've got your central laner or your jungler who's going to be farming these jungle camps, right? Normally, the jungle pathing route goes, the person will usually just dash over this first jungle wall here. They'll start on their Lillipup, and then the Lillipup will automatically start heading towards the side with Ludicolo buff. Ludicolo, as you see right here on this little indicator, is a jungle buff. There are 2 jungle buffs in this game. There is Ludicolo, which increases your damage dealt to wild Pokemon at low HP thresholds, like when that wild Pokemon is at low HP thresholds. And then you have Buffalant, which makes it so your attacks slow people. So you should prioritize, if you're the jungler, getting Ludicolo buff first, as that increases your speed at which you take out all the other camps. Makes sense? So usually you would go Lillipup into Ludicolo, and then go down and get Buffalant, and then you would clear these 2 Corphish, and then you would be at a certain level. You would probably be level 5 after clearing this, and then you would go and gank a lane, or basically go and rotate to another lane to try and help out your laners. And then at a certain point, these Corphish in the middle of the map will start spawning, and you can go and farm those as well. Now, Ludicolo and Buffalant specifically, they respawn about a minute after you take them out, and they are your big XP like manufacturers as the jungler. You always want to be getting these buffs off of cooldown. So as soon as they come back up, you want to go and get them. You don't want to sacrifice a game over it, but this is what gives junglers in that central lane a large amount of XP. So if you are in one of these other lanes, you don't want to go and take any of these camps at the start of the game from your jungler, because this is the only thing they have to survive on, okay? And especially that first clear, you don't want to go and accidentally touch a Lillipup. You don't want to tap it or anything. You don't want to hit a Corphish or anything, because what that's going to do is it's going to prevent your jungler from hitting level 5 when they finish their first clear, and it's going to put them behind the enemy jungler and basically put your entire team behind for the rest of the game, because your jungler is going to be getting your jungler is going to be ahead in XP based off of this clear. Okay, so that's the start of the game generally for the jungler. You go get your buff camps, clear out these camps in the middle, and then you try to rotate to other lanes and help out your laners. If you are in one of these lanes, okay, what you want to be doing is taking out these APOMs. These APOMs begin at the start of the game, and they are only on the map one time. So you go, and whatever lane you're in, you only want to hit the APOMs for that lane. Just like the jungler with the Lillipup, your main thing is going to be the APOMs before you get to the lane. So you're going to go and you're going to hit these, the first APOMs, you're going to clear those, then you're going to clear the second wave of APOMs and the next wave of APOMs, and you don't want to go and tap, just like you don't want to tap the jungler's Lillipup, the jungler should not be touching your APOMs. If the jungler touches your APOMs, then, I mean, in my particular opinion, you're free to go and tap their Lillipup so that you don't get farther behind in XP, but that's up to you. So moral of the story is, if you're in a lane, don't touch the jungle stuff at the beginning of the game. If you're a jungler, don't touch the lane stuff at the beginning of the game. Okay, you're going to go and you want to clear these APOMs as fast as possible, because the first thing that you want to be doing when you get to the lane is going after the contested camp. And what I mean by contested camp is, you can see in top lane, there's a Corphish in the middle of the lane, and then in bottom lane, there's an Audino in the middle of the lane. And that is the only thing that is not mirrored on each side of the map. So if you take that Audino, you are going to be ahead in experience in comparison to the people in your opposing lane, and vice versa. If they take it, they're going to have an experience lead on you. Remember, the only actual method of progression in Pokemon Unite is experience. So experience is absolutely everything. You want to make sure that you're farming, and you want to make sure that you are taking more camps than your opposing laners. If you can help it, you want to go and try to take one of their Audinos on their side of the map, but for the most part, you want to be getting the first central Audino if you can help it, if you're on bottom side, or the first Corphish if you can help it top side, because that is going to set you ahead. And when I say take it, I don't mean just tap it. You have to get the last hit on it. Whoever gets the last hit on it determines which side gets the experience. So keep that in mind. Okay? After you do that, whether or not you get it or not, you want to go and clear the other two Audinos if you're in bottom side, or you want to clear the other APOMs if you are in top side. And then shortly after that, a Corphish will spawn on both lanes behind you, and you want to clear that out, of course. Again, you want to get everything. It's all about maximizing your experience per minute. You want to make sure that you're pulling everything off the map that you possibly can. So, and again, these things all have various respawn timers, and certain points of the game make these various wild Pokemon camps disappear. So if you go and, actually before I get into that, your main goal of the game, of course, is to score more points than the enemy team. That is the win condition, right? Your win condition is that when the game ends, your team has more points than the enemy team. But the way that you get to that win condition, as I said before, is experience based. But how do you score points? You go and by killing these wild Pokemon camps, you accumulate points on your character, and then you go and you score them in these goal zones. Okay, you can't score them in any goal zone, like any of the inner goal zones, until you take out the first goal zone. Now there's a whole extra level of strategy involved when it comes to if you should take out goal zones early or not, because when you remove an enemy goal zone from the map, specifically the first ones, it's going to despawn some of these camps, and it's going to put some extra camps on their side of the map that they can then go and farm for more experience. But for the most part, you want to go and farm your XP camps, get those contested camps, duke it out with the enemy laners, and if you can help it, try and score some goals, because goals also give you experience. But you don't want to do anything at the cost of your own life. Okay, so there are also berries that you see on either side of the map in both lanes, and these are essentially going to make it so if you take a bad trade in lane and you take a lot of damage, you don't have to necessarily just go back to base, and you can go and basically repeatedly pick up these berries, because they respawn over a certain period of time, 30 seconds if you look down here. So it restores a large amount of HP, and it's very helpful in terms of lane sustain. So if you're going and you're trying to score goals, you need to keep in mind the enemy also has berries, so don't just assume because you did a lot of damage to them that the damage is going to stick. It's only going to stick if you've already removed their 2 berries, so sometimes you can dive on those berries, you can do whatever, but for the most part, we'll keep it simple. You want to go and try and score, and then everybody on the map is going to clear out those first initial camps, and then those camps are going to respawn, and you're going to want to clear them out all over again. And by this time, the jungler should be done with their clear and trying to rotate through top or bottom to try and create some advantages. So you need to be aware of that as well. And then the jungler also is going to go back and refarm their buff camps. About 3 minutes in, Drednaw and Rotom are going to spawn. Okay, that happens at the 7-minute mark. Okay, 7-minute mark, Drednaw and Rotom spawn. You will see a 30-second countdown to when they spawn. Drednaw provides a shield to your entire team if you capture it, and it also provides a team-wide experience buff. So it will just apply a big chunk of experience to your entire team. Rotom, on the other hand, will basically, when you capture it, it will start to slowly roam down the lane towards the opposing team, the team that didn't capture it. And if it makes contact with the enemy team's goal, it's going to create an instant dunk zone, meaning you can automatically score points in that zone. You don't have to hold down a button or wait for a charge up time in order to score your points. You can just score them automatically. It's also going to automatically dunk 20 points into that opponent's goal. And if the enemy team doesn't stop it, then that's what's going to happen. If there's no goal here to start out with, then the Rotom will go all the way down to the second one, all the way down to their home base. So keep that in mind. In general, in the current meta landscape of Pokemon Unite, nobody goes for Rotom basically ever, because in terms of the actual overall game, it's pretty worthless, because all it's doing is scoring some points, which you can get back later in the game. You can always go and score points on the enemy goal. Whereas Drednaw, like I said before, experience is king in Pokemon Unite. Drednaw is basically the king, you could consider it the king of contested Pokemon camps, right? If you think of it as like a Mega Audino, you don't want to let the enemy team take that, because if the enemy team takes that, then they're going to have a massive experience lead, except it's compounded times 3 if they take Drednaw. Okay, so Drednaw, again, gives your entire team a massive chunk of experience, and that's going to allow you to have a significant step up on the enemy team when it comes time to actually go and fight them. It means you're going to get your Unite moves faster, so if you get that first Drednaw, usually your team is the first to their Unite moves, which means they're the first to be able to go and use those ultimate moves in team fights and destroy the enemy team, which means they can go and get other objectives and set themselves up for Rotom, set themselves up for the next Drednaw. You get what I'm saying. So your main priority until Zapdos spawns later in the game is to always be securing this Drednaw. Okay, and Drednaw respawns every 2 minutes after you clear it for the first time. So if you can help it, you want to be there as soon, like before it spawns. So when you see that 30-second mark, even if you're in top lane, you should be rotating down to bottom lane to try and secure the Drednaw. Again, the last hit is all that matters. So if you are able to go and sneak and get that last hit on the Drednaw. Even if the enemy team has 5 people around it, you secure that for your entire team, and it really, really helps out your team. So that should be your goal. There's a lot of, not arguments, but, different opinions on whether or not everybody from top lane should rotate to Drednaw, or if just one person should rotate. But in general, when in doubt, rotate down to Drednaw, because Drednaw decides your fate for the rest of the game in terms of team fights, and you want to continue getting those. Now, after the first Drednaw is down, you go back and you rinse and repeat what you did in those first 3 minutes. Junglers should be going and farming their buff camps. You should be trying to farm Audinos or Vespa Queens after Vespa Queens have spawned, which is a few minutes after that initial start of the game. And this is, again, just another contested camp in the center of the map that is going to throw experience one way or the other. You want to make sure that you are on the receiving end of that experience. After Drednaw is down, you can feel free to rotate up to Rotom if you want to, but overall, Rotom doesn't really... it doesn't impact the game in too much of a major way. Do you want to let the enemy team get it for free? No. So if your team gets Drednaw and they have a big team advantage, then sure, rotate up to Rotom, but it's not a 100% hard and fast rule. But regardless, after you get Drednaw, like I said, you go back and everybody's farming again. Again, you want to just keep farming, keep farming. You do not want to be just sitting on a goalpost. You do not want to be running headfirst into the enemy team. Nothing like that. You want to keep farming basically until the next Drednaw spawns 2 minutes later. And then you're going to go and you're going to fight over Drednaw again. And if you have that experience lead from the first Drednaw, you're going to be in a pretty good spot for the second one. So rinse and repeat. Pokemon Unite is a fairly simple game in terms of strategy. This is what the game is revolving around right now, is these Drednaws. Now, supposing you went and you got the first Drednaw and your team won a bunch of team fights and stuff, like what are some things you can do? You can go and capture that first goal. For those of you that aren't aware, beyond the first goal post, if you don't take it down, there is a slow zone. So if you try to dive past this point and you are on, blue side, you're going to go and essentially be slowed by an incredible amount, which is going to allow the enemy team to really easily pick you off, which you don't want to do. But once you take out this first goal zone, this slow zone disappears, and that gives you access to the second goal zone. And then after you do that, the third. My suggestion would be not to go and push super hard for this second goal zone, because respawn timers are fairly short up until a lot later on in the game, and past the 5-minute mark, these Dug Trios spawn, which not really spawn, it is a jump pad basically. At your base where you respawn, you can hop on this jump pad and essentially jump to any of these areas in the map. Into central lane, there's 2 points. Into top lane, there's 2 points. Into bottom lane, there's 2 points. So if someone's, and what it does is when you land, it causes a knock up to anybody in the area, anybody on the other team in the area of these goals. So if I am in the lead, okay, and my team decides that we're feeling a little crazy and we're going to go and we're going to push up to this second goal post, the enemy team can just go and leap on top of us, and we're super overextended, we're vulnerable, and they can go and get some of that experience back, and you don't want that to happen, right? You want to be defending your goalposts and preventing the enemy team from scoring, and they're going to be doing the exact same thing to you. So be very wary when you go and you're pushing up into these inner goals, because with enemy respawns, they're going to be able to come back a lot faster and fight a lot easier than you are going to be able to. All right? So we've covered the Drednaw, we've covered the Rotom, and now this is just the game of Pokemon Unite. You're going and you're farming, you're watching your Unite moves, and after the second Drednaw is spawned, let's say, okay, Drednaw spawns at 7 minutes, and you go and you're able to take it out by 6 minutes and 30 seconds. That means Drednaw is up next time at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, yes, and that would mean that the next Drednaw after that is going to be up at 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Well, you want to be farming within that entire time frame, but now you have to think about Zapdos spawning. Zapdos spawns at the at the 8-minute mark of the game, okay? And so that means there's 2 minutes to go. If Drednaw is still on the map before those 2 minutes, you don't necessarily want to go and take it. I went and did a little bit of a deep dive into some things you might not know about Pokemon Unite. You can go check out that video where I explain a bit about the Drednaw debuff, but basically what Drednaw does is if you take it, it's going to provide, it's going to inflict on you a 90-second debuff where you basically deal half damage to Zapdos. Your entire team deals half damage to Zapdos. Now, there's ways of cleansing it with certain Pokemon. I'm not going to get into that now. But what you need to understand is that if you go and you take the Drednaw right before Zapdos spawns, you're going to deal half damage to Zapdos for 90 seconds, and you're basically going to give up any chance of you securing Zapdos, which is not a good look. So ideally, you want to take those first, 2, maybe 3 Drednaws, depending on how fast you clear them. And then if there is a Drednaw that is spawning within the last, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe skip out on it so that you don't mess up your entire team at that final Zapdos fight. And if I screwed up my times, you guys get what I'm saying. You keep getting Drednaws until that 90-second threshold, okay? At the 2-minute mark, when there's 2 minutes left, so at the 8-minute mark, Zapdos is going to spawn, and Drednaw and Rotom are going to despawn off the map. Okay, and then all of the Pokemon on the map essentially are going to get little evolutions where they are now worth a lot more points, a lot more XP. So you want to make sure that you farm them correctly. You want to be getting as high level as you possibly can for the Zapdos fight, because Zapdos is incredibly important in Pokemon Unite. It doesn't matter how far behind you are. If you go and you manage to capture a Zapdos, there's a very, very high likelihood that you're going to be able to make a comeback in the game. It doesn't matter how badly you're being beaten. And so what you want to do to prepare for this Zapdos fight is to make sure that right before that last 2 minutes, you aren't spending and wasting your Unite move, because you want to be using your Unite move when it counts the most, and that is at the Zapdos fight, okay? So just briefly talking about the final 2 minutes of the game. In the final 2 minutes of the game, all points that are scored are doubled, meaning if I have 50 points and I go and score it on goal number 1, that is going to turn into 100 points, all right? And this makes a big difference. It makes it so you can have some really crazy comeback potential. And what Zapdos does is Zapdos makes it so if you take Zap, it gives the person that last hits a certain amount of points, and it gives your team a certain amount of points as a whole, but it is basically a Mega Rotom, where it goes and it makes every single goal on your enemy team side of the map an instant dunk zone for 30 seconds, okay? And which is really good on its own, but the fact that Zapdos only occurs in the last 2 minutes of the game, this means that all of those instant dunks are going to be double points. And this is why you never want to surrender the game super early on if there's still a chance of you fighting at Zapdos, because if you think about it, there's 5 major goal zones, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the final goal zone, the home base, is really hard to score on throughout the whole course of the game. So if you're getting absolutely destroyed and you've lost all of your outer goals, okay, and we're just going to assume that they just used the perfect amount of points. So each goal is 100. So if they did 100 points in the 2 goals on top, that's 200 points. If they did 100 points on the 2 goals on bottom, that's 400 points. So that is if you're absolutely being destroyed. Now, if you and your team capture Zapdos and all of your teammates are just sitting on these points, each teammate, say they all have 50, every single time they score, those 50 are going to be 100. So you have potentially 500 points that you're sitting on if your team goes and manages to capture Zapdos. That's why Zapdos is just a very controversial topic in the Pokemon Unite community, because some people will say that it is the blame of a lot of their game losses, and it probably is. But that's why Zapdos is so crucial. So at that final 2 minute point, And just before, you want to make sure your entire game is revolving around preparing for that Zapdos. That means getting into position, not just dilly-dallying or trying to aimlessly score in other lanes, but getting into position to fight the other team and secure Zapdos. So again, Zapdos acts like just all the other camps. You go, and it is the last hit on Zapdos that determines who gets it. It's going to Thunderbolt everybody on the enemy team when you get it, stun them briefly, do some damage, and then it's going to cause that Insta-Dunk, where as soon as you get it, you should be sprinting to any of the goals that are available to go and dunk your points. And then you're going to either, depending on the state of the game, you're going to try and help your teammates score their goals if they're getting chased, or go back and defend from your base so that the enemy team can't come back and get any points in when the double scoring is in effect. Do keep in mind that if like I said before, if these outer goals are not taken care of, you're not going to be able to score on these inner goals. So you have to go and score your 1 first so that this inner goal is activated. And then if you want to get anybody to score on the home goal and drop this green base gate that you see on the map right here, you're going to have to take out this inner goalpost as well. So please do keep that in mind. Don't go straight from Zapdos, skip over goal number 1 and go straight to goal number 2, because you won't be able to score. You'll just get screwed up. Okay, and that is generally how the match in Pokemon Unite goes. The one thing I will say in regards to Zapdos is if you are in the lead, try your best not to go and just do Zapdos. You want to do this as a team, and you do not want the enemy team to get back into the game. So if you are ahead, your main goal as a team should be to prevent the enemy team from getting onto Zapdos. You have the experience lead if you've been getting those Drednaws, so you should be able to fight them effectively. You do not want to go and be in the lead and have the only way for them to get back be getting that Zapdos, and then go and your team is hitting the Zapdos and the enemy team steals it and they automatically win the game. You don't want that to happen. So if you're in the lead, defend Zapdos from the enemy team. Don't go and do it. Under no circumstances go and do Zapdos alone, because it's just going to screw over your team. But if you are behind, you want to be trying your best to do whatever tricks you can to pick people off of the enemy team and capture that Zapdos and come back and win the game. So please keep that in mind. And that's basically the game of Pokemon Unite in a nutshell. Now, I'm not going super deep. That's just a general overview. There's all different kinds of intricacies with each lane and various other just basics that I didn't walk through. But over the course of an actual match, that is going to be your general gameplay flow. I hope you guys found this to be informational. If you think there's anything that I should expand upon, I can certainly do that in other videos. I just woke up today and I said, you know what, let's make a guide for brand new players coming in so that they have some idea of what is happening in the game, and so that they're not just totally clueless and accidentally messing people up and taking a jungle camp when they can't take a jungle camp, or taking an APOM when they shouldn't be taking an APOM. I hope you guys generally get the flow of the game through this video. I'm sorry if I rambled on a little bit. I don't think I did. I think I kept it pretty clear to the point, but obviously it is a MOBA. There's a lot of stuff happening on the map, and I just wanted you to get a really solid understanding and make sure I really hit those core points. I can do different guides on roles and characters and stuff like that. I do have a ton of builds on my channel, so if you want to go check them out, check the links in the description or just hit up my channel. I've got a whole playlist of builds, and I also have a video showing the best builds for every Pokemon right now. But that's going to be it for me, guys. As always, if you like this content or you're brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and make sure you like and comment, hit the notification bell. If you have any questions and you're new, feel free to toss them out there. I try my best to respond to everything. If you want any awesome Team Shiny merch, hit the merch land link in the description. And if you want to just chat one-on-one or ask anybody in my community about Pokemon Unite, or just get some games, find some people to play with, hop into Discord. There's people all the time of all different ranks trying to find people to play with. So thank you so much for watching. shout out to JJ and the rest of the people that work on this Unite info sheet. I will put this in the description below. I don't know how recently it's been updated, but it's just a nice general guide if you're brand new to the game. And I hope you guys have a great day. Also, if you made it this far, toss a bacon cheeseburger in the comments section. Let's just keep it going with the burgers, guys. Keep it going in the burgers.